Welcome to GamerStation's Browser Games of the Week for the week of April 16th, and I'm your host, Steven SnakeYukin Lindsey. Number 9, Pyro Skate 3. I was in a predicament this week. Either I had to go with a game that everyone gave 4 stars or whatever to, or one that wasn't as highly rated, but I kind of liked more and it was also kind of funny. So I went with the latter. Pyro Skate 3 is a comedy game that might just make you go hee 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 or ha ha ha, but hopefully not I'm not even sure if there's a real story to this game, so I really can't tell you about that. I can tell you some stuff that happens. First you're running away from killer water bottles that are making you wet.
I'm getting so wet! Oh, I hope I don't get wet! I'm getting wet too!
Then you're shooting down flaming zombies with your hands. And then you're in a burning house. That's only on the outside. Yeah. The downside is, while there's comedy in the game portion is lacking. It also feels short, and the comedy can be hit and miss depending on what joke they're trying to go for. Number 9, Subtle Energy. Hey! It's one of those games that you gotta guide colors from one object to a different object, and it has to be the same color type of game. I don't have no idea what these are called. So, besides getting those colors to a certain spot, you can also mix colors together to create new colors that you'll need to guide certain objects to get the level complete. Now it does do some stuff that others really haven't, such as if you have too much of that color in a spot, it'll explode, and then it's game over. On the downside, well, it doesn't really quite stand out too much, and the prior mentioned explosion, if too much color is used on said object, it only has issues with that on really one level. The level which they tell you about that mechanic. So really, that mechanic seems like it has really no reason or rhyme of being in the game, or needing to be explained. Number 8, Pixel Explorer. Now this is a very simple premise game involving you having a set number of throws to collect all the rainbow pixels in getting to the exit. Now after collecting each of those rainbow pixels, you'll also get an extra throw. However, you need to avoid those pink pixels, as they have a tendency of taking away throws from you. Why? Well, why not? On the downside, if you go off screen in any direction, that includes above the screen, it's instant game over. Why can't there be a barrier, or if you go above the screen, you can come back down? I guess because they can. Number 7, Pigs Can Fly. This isn't a game where you're a mad scientist with plans to make pigs fly, though that might be an interesting game. No, it's a puzzle game involving you guiding a pig to a potion that'll make him grow wings and fly away. The gimmick is that only certain colored cursors can move certain colored objects. Now, said gimmick goes further in that every time you activate a cursor, previous cursor moves will play out as well, so you often have to figure out which objects to move first. Number 6, Geraldo Twirling Expert. Am I the only one who saw this as Geraldo at first? Definitely considering the group is called Spoof Games or something like that. But the game is a boomerang game, which warns us at the very beginning that it can be quite difficult to grasp. Which is true depending on who you are. I didn't really have that much problem with it, but I can see there being issues. Your goal is simple enough. You just have to throw the boomerang from one person to another person and get to the person that has goal written right above their big old noggin. Now, it's not the best game out there, but I haven't really seen a lot of boomerang-related games out there, so it has uniqueness. And also, it can be fun and keep your attention for quite a bit. We're halfway through our list, and that means it's time for our classic browser game of the week. And our pick for this week is This Is the Only Level. Now, this is another classic game brought to us by the person behind the Achievement Unlock series, which is another game we recommended in a previous week, and also involves elephants. Now this game challenges the whole thought of what counts as a new level and what doesn't, and puts it in the face of everyone out there. I think it does. I really didn't think about that statement as much as I really should have. So the level stays the same each and every time you play it, but the rules to that level change when you get to the end of the level, such as your keyboard controls are backwards that time, you need to use your mouse instead, there's a strong wind blowing, etc. This game is quite fun and was quite unique during its time. At least I think it was during the time. If my memory is correct. It's probably not. Number 9, Convergence. Now this is one of those fancy art games that I often like and enjoy and play a whole lot more than all these other ones. This one deals with choices, starting from the childhood up to our final hours. It's a very short but sweet game and has several different endings that you can see and play through. On the downside though, it tries to create some emotional moments, but they aren't always quite realized because of the short time. Number 4, Upgrade Complete 2. Your goal? Upgrade the game enough so that's extremely awesome. Now to upgrade the game, you gotta play a space shooting game and collect the money that comes from the various ships. Now this game is indeed quite compelling to try to get all the upgrades and make the game as fancy pants as possible. The downside, the game can be really quite boring, especially in the first few moments whenever there's no music or anything. It's dead silent. Now the actual game part isn't hard, challenging, or anything of the sort because none of the ships can harm you or anything of that sort. And also, you have to be right on top of the ships to get the best amount of money from the ships. Otherwise, it's going to take you quite a while to get some of the money that you need. Number 3, My Little Army. Well, your army consists of only 8 soldiers plus you, so I think I would call that a little army. Like most games of this genre, this sort, or whatever you want to call it, the main thing that you have to do is mainly get the best soldiers that you can in your stock and overpower the enemy with the sheer amount of people you have going after him. Unlike a lot of those other games though, you don't have to just necessarily get characters from defeating a level. No, you can buy items and get characters from the shop. Also, unlike a lot of those other games in the genre, you can select several side missions to get money to purchase the said stuff I mentioned a moment ago. Though it does have a few elements that aren't so similar, it does end up feeling a little similar, but it's unique enough to stand out. Number 2, Friday the Game. Unlike the previous Friday song related game on one of our previous lists, this one isn't a distance game. I thought it was going to be for a while. This Friday-orientated game that we're talking about on a Monday, which I recorded on Sunday, and which I played on a Saturday, is an adventure game where all the commands must be typed in. You know, such as typing in shower. She'll take a shower. And then she'll get flamed to ash because the shower was broken, and I guess somehow when a shower's broken, it gets mixed up with the gas line, and there's a spark. Now, it's indeed quite interesting to go through and kill her in various accidental ways. It can be really annoying to figure out the right method to winning, which I still haven't properly done yet. And our number 1 browser game for this week is I Have One Day. Now this is a point and click adventure game with a twist. Now as the title indicates, you have a day. Okay, technically it's 21 hours, but who's counting? Okay, maybe this guy is, because time is very important in this game, unlike mostly every other game out there. Fortunately, you have the ability to rewind time to previous hours in case something you did ends up taking more time than you thought it was going to. And trust me, you will likely need to rewind and redo several different things at different times because, well, you didn't know you had to do that in the previous time. Now, as a random note, how come this shorter road seems to take more time than the longer road? And why is a raven like a writing desk? And with that, this week's Browser Games of the Week list comes to an end. Now, if you don't know, each and every Sunday, outside of a few exceptions, we have up a new video in this series. And also on Wednesdays we have our Gamer Station Indie Game News, which is where we talk about some of the latest happenings in the indie game world. So subscribe to us to be up to date on our videos, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook to be up to date on all the other stuff that we are doing in other news-related stuff in the indie game world.
So